John Morgan here, and welcome to the first episode of Bob's Live in quite a long time. As many of you know, my father's been dealing with some health issues, and I've been taking care of him. And well, he is doing somewhat better, so I am able to continue on doing Bob's Live now. So a few things have changed, and one of those is right here beside of me, and that is that we're now broadcasting on more than just Facebook and YouTube. You can also find us over on Rumble and also now on X. And a little bit of delay at the beginning was me checking the streams. X is working. Rumble, I'm going to have to do some troubleshooting. But that way, all of those different locations that I can broadcast in, we can just get that many more people into the conversation and learning about gardening. And I already see Patty and Carol have joined. Hi. It's good to see you guys again. And well, this week I've got kind of a short episode. It's first of the year. Yesterday was New Year's Day, so didn't have a lot of time to put stuff together, but we do have a few things to cover. So, up first, I thought we would take a look at what's happening in the greenhouse because we haven't been out there for a while. And, well, if you followed our live show, it's a lot of the same stuff that we have growing this time of year. This time of year, hey Adam, this time of the year we start ramping up our seedling production to head into springtime. So we're growing seedlings and we're starting to stick cuttings that will be transplanted into things like our flowering hanging baskets. And then also, speaking of hanging baskets, we're also growing ferns right now. So our ferns, they have the longest crop time out of anything that we grow. Takes a full 9 months to grow them from a little tiny start about the size of my pinky finger into a finished fern basket. And well, the greenhouse that I have in the background right here is our Uptown greenhouse, the new one. If you live in the area, it's right in behind Dollar General. And that's where we're going to head today to take a look at some ferns and also the way that we light those ferns up. Hi, John Morgan here with Bob's Marketing Greenhouses, and today I am here at our newest greenhouse in the upper end of Mason. And as you can see behind me, this time of year it is mostly empty, but we do have a crop in here that we started back a few months ago, and right now we're transplanting them. And that is part of our 2024 fern crop. So these are all the ferns that's going to eventually hang overhead up here and in the greenhouse next door. But we also have ferns elsewhere here at Bob's. So this is, believe it or not, just a small part of this year's fern crop. But what I'm doing right now is I'm actually working on the light schedule for these ferns. So in this greenhouse we have LED lighting and it's all controlled from a tablet. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so just over my head behind me is the lights for this section. And yeah, I can just control them directly from this tablet. We set up schedules in the system so they kick on and off automatically. But the cool thing is, I can sit here and trigger it manually, so those two lights just kicked on. But another neat thing is, in this particular area, we have ferns down the entire length of this half bay. And that means that I can just turn this entire section on. But over my shoulder down there, we only have ferns in a small part of the bay. And it would be a waste of electricity to burn lights over an area where we don't have plants. So in this section, we only need 14 out of the 26 lights in this bay. So I'm able to go in and basically turn off the lights that we don't need, and then I'm only controlling the lights that we do need. And the cool thing is each light has its own unique address, so we can turn lights off and on as we need them, and we can set up custom schedules for even portions of a bay. So it's a very neat system. And if you've ever driven by our location here at the upper end of Mason, you might have noticed a pink glow coming from this greenhouse. And that's because plants really only need two colors to grow. They need blue light and red light. They're green because they don't really need green light, so they just reflect that light back, and that's why plants are green. This mixture of LEDs that we have was custom built for us by a company right here in West Virginia. And well, that is a quick look at the 2024 fern crop, and it's just getting its start. We get them in as little tiny, they're not really seedlings because they're cultured tissue, but we get them in all the way back in September, grow them out to a size where they're big enough to be transplanted, and then they'll hang out here on the floor for a month or so, and then eventually, most of these won't travel very far. They'll actually end up right above my head here. So you can see right there, and right there, right there, and right there. There's drip tubes hanging down from the ceiling. So we'll hang them up in the ceiling, and then whenever they need watered, they just kick on a valve down at the end of the greenhouse, and it waters them through the drip tubes. And then whenever they need to ship out, we go in with poles that have like a little basket on the end and just grab them and package them up and ship them out either to our local Bob's Market or to one of our wholesale customers. Alright, so that is our lights uptown. And yeah, when you drive by, Patty said she saw the pink lights yesterday. They do have kind of a pinkish hue to them because we focused more on the red end of the spectrum with our lights. Because that is more well suited to growing seedling plugs, which is the main thing we specialize in. So if you look at the light panel, it's got mostly red LEDs. I believe there are a few different wavelengths. I'm not sure. I wasn't really in on the design and technical side of that. That's sort of over my pay grade and my specialty. But yeah, they do have kind of a pinkish hue when you look at them. Adam has a question. He says, will you be doing Mexican petunias again? Last year's first time I've seen them in this area. See them at the beach hotel we stayed at and loved them. And butterflies love them. I had to, while the video was playing, I was sitting here Googling it because I have never seen these before. I'm not sure, it might be something that we got in from like an outside supplier. One of the benefits of having like our Pittsburgh location is we get wholesale materials in from outside suppliers. So I'm not sure if if we got them in from somebody else or if we grew them ourselves and I just didn't know about it because, we grow a few thousand different varieties of plants. Um, so, yeah, he's saying he's seen them at Belpre. So, I would say that might be the case. On the little bit of research that I did just reading about them, they're hardy up to like zone 8, I think. Oh yeah, grown as an annual north of zone 8. So around here they'd be grown as an annual. But something that I was reading is evidently down in the southern states, they can be somewhat invasive. I just wanted to make sure that they weren't like invasive in our area, but evidently they can't survive our winters. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to look up and do a little bit of research on it. Sounds interesting because the the scientific name of the plant there isn't even close to uh, the scientific name for petunias. So it's a completely different plant that they've just sort of stuck the petunia name on. Stephanie saying my petunias look piddly every year. They get full sun on my deck. Not sure if it's too much sun or if it's the dirt I use. Water runs off the dirt instead of soaking in. Yeah, that is a big thing. The water around your root ball of your plants, once it sort of dries out, the peat moss the most folks use in their growing mix, it becomes somewhat hydrophobic, meaning that it'll repel water, which is kind of a catch-22. I mean, it's harvested from swamps. You'd think it would stay wet, but once it dries out, it's really hard to get it re-wet or to re-wet it. Yeah, I'm tripping over my words there. Um, but anyhow, what you can do if you're noticing that that's happening is you can give your pot a soak in a bucket of water. So if it's a hanging basket or something like that, maybe a tray with water where it can soak it up from the bottom. If it's a larger pot, you might want to fill up like a 5-gallon bucket and stick it down in it. But giving it a good soak to re-wet the soil ball, that'll do wonders. And then also, we recommend, fertilizing it periodically. If it's a hang basket or a container, the fertilizer that you use is going to wash out of it basically over time. So you need to be fertilizing it and putting more nutrients back into the soil. And we sell a petunia fertilizer. It's a Jack's Classic Petunia Feed, and the feed is spelled kind of funky with the capitalization because it has extra iron in it. So it has Fe, the symbol for iron. Um, so yeah, Adam said they get about 3 feet tall. The flowers aren't too big. Oh yeah, that's another great tip is to use a rod or something to poke holes in the pots. Uh, Not only to poke holes in the pots, but also to kind of stick through the root ball and create little holes that water can get down into the center of the root ball. So that also helps. Um, let's go ahead and move on now because I do have a somewhat important announcement to make, and that is over on our website. If you go under locations, right now our Mason Market is closed for the winter. So we're closing up our Mason and then also our Gallipolis Market for winter. So Mason and Gallipolis, they're going to be closed probably until like mid-March. And that's because our employees at Mason and Gallipolis, a lot of them
we need sowing seeds right now and transplanting and all of that good stuff to get us ready for springtime. Um, so yeah, those two locations are closing for winter, and then our Belpre market, it is going to be open. Not those times. I forgot to update it there. I updated it on Facebook, but it's going to be open 9 to 5:30, uh, Monday through Friday, and oh, let's see. There we go. Now you can see me. Um, it's going to be open 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then closed on Sunday. There we go. Got it out. Yeah, I'm super organized today. Says I'll do that. Really lack on fertilizing. Love the tidal wave petunias. I absolutely love uh, the tidal wave and wave series petunias. Another of my favorites, and I think it's everybody's favorites, is the Vista series. So Vista Bubblegum is always the huge, like the one that everybody has to have. But now they've come out with other colors. So there's Vista Snowdrift that's white. It mounds up a little bit more. The bubblegum kind of spreads more. Um, and I'm trying to think of some of the other varieties, but they're coming out with different colors in the Vista series that sort of had the same habit as the Vista bubblegum. But the waves and tidal wave, they're a trailing petunia, so they spread out. Uh, they look really great in a container, where the vistas are more of a mounding petunia. The waves will trail down over the side of a container, and yeah, they're just gorgeous. And Patty says, "I'm sure it's hard to get back into a routine." And yeah, it is, and I'm still trying to juggle like medical appointments and that sort of stuff too. So trying to figure out a schedule is really fun right now. The last thing that I want to take a look at is the weather. And of course, in the springtime, I normally cover the weather because of gardening, obviously. But right now, it hasn't been too bad this winter. We'll knock on some wood with that. But yeah, the weather hasn't been too bad. So this time of year is a great time to get out in the garden and do some winter gardening chores. So if you have, say, flower beds that need to be cleaned out, if it's not icy and frozen, and likewise if it's not super wet and muddy, you can get out and do some of that work now. And, that's stuff that you can get done now that you won't have to worry about in the springtime. Um, but yeah, the forecast this week, today and tomorrow, I think, are going to be the warmest days. And then it looks like it's going to cool down going into the weekend. And I know they're talking about the possibility of a snowstorm, like on Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah, tomorrow might be your best day to get out and do some work outside. Um, but yeah, yeah. Stephanie says, "Shop the Belpre store. It's my happy place." I love our Belpre store. We put a lot of work into it when we redesigned it and rebuilt it a few years ago. And I was looking back in my notes because I keep notebooks every year, and I'm banging into stuff here. Um, but every year I keep a notebook. So this is the last few years, and then I've got 22 or 23 and 24 over here. But I couldn't believe how far back it was that we did the Belpre store. And in fact, I don't even think I have that notebook here. No, I don't. But yeah, it's been like 5 or 6 years since we built the store up there. Um, and of course, if you remember the old store, it was definitely time for being replaced. Of course, it had that sentimental value. It was one of the oldest markets in Ohio, I think, one of the oldest open air markets. Um, but yeah, it it was showing its age and it definitely needed to be replaced. And the new market up there, it is just wonderful. So yeah, if we've got a rainy, snowy day, head into the market. Something I love to do if it's rainy and snowy or nasty weather like this time of year, I'll head out into the greenhouse here at Bob's because I like to say it's 70 degrees and sunny every day here. And Carol says she shops up at Belpre too. So, yep. And well, on that note, I am going to end this week's episode of Bob's Live. And well, until next time, keep growing.